Hey everybody, it's Josh. First of all, thank you so much for listening. I just wanted to jump in here, and if you're familiar with the podcast, you've heard me say this before, but Jack and I recorded a bunch of these episodes before we started releasing them. We have since decided to change the name, so there might be some references to the original name throughout the podcast. I can't really do anything about that, but what I have done is retroactively gone back and re-recorded the openings to all of these podcasts. So if we jump back into the podcast proper and the audio sounds a little bit different, that's the reason why I'm recording it in two different sittings. Without further ado, welcome to The Long List, a podcast where we celebrate movies and pop culture through the storied art of rankings. There are no wrong answers, there are no bad opinions, and hot takes are always encouraged. I'm Josh Muller. This week I'm joined with my brother Jack Muller, and this episode is all about Westerns. Jack, Westerns.
Yeah.
So why did we want to do Westerns for this? Why did we want to do like a big genre like this?
Always been one of our favorites. Lot to break down, lot to unpack, lots of different time periods, Western time periods.
Yeah,
essentially,
subgenres, eras.
Exactly, eras. That's the word I'm looking for.
It
Thank
is
you.
an extremely rich text.
Yeah.
I actually texted you earlier this week saying, like, should we split up the podcast from, like, pre a certain point, post a certain point? Because there's just so many.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be fun this way because not only is it a genre that we both really like, I don't know that we like it. I mean, there's, like, Western historians out there and people that only watch Western. We're not like that. But,
Yeah.
It's certainly a big genre that has lots of different viewpoints where people have really strong opinions.
Yeah, 100%. And in doing my research and watching a bunch of Westerns leading up to this, really feel like I am in kind of my own little niche. I definitely don't think I love every Western movie.
I would agree. I think I told you earlier this week, I think I like the idea of Westerns maybe even more than I like all Westerns. Like
right. Well, I was born in 91, so that was, the year before Unforgiven, which really shook things up. And so I feel like, that really set my makeup, growing up with all the movies that are coming out after that time, that's Westerns to me, to be honest.
Well, I had that later. We can just do it now.
Well,
I kind of view like, and I'm not the first person to say this, so this is not my idea, but I think there's a very clear line you could draw of pre and post Unforgiven as like a general, like, I don't know what you call it, peak point or
split off,
verge, fork in the road of Unforgiven as being this, monumental point in the history of Western movies, because Clint Eastwood is obviously, if not the biggest, probably the second biggest Western star out there, or at least iconic figure in the oeuvre of Westerns. And he is sort of riffing on the movies that he made in the past by sort of showing you that the characters I may have played in the past aren't necessarily good.
Yeah.
That's not a good thing that I'm shooting up 1,000 dudes.
Right. It's the anti-hero, like he really started the whole anti-hero thing.
Yeah.
I mean, not really. I guess I shouldn't say started it. A lot of, revisionist Westerns were coming out before then. And, it was kind of a slow build, but I think he really cemented it.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Him doing it was important.
I think he nailed it. Yeah. Him doing that.
Right.
Reflecting on his own work in the Western genre. And, let's face it, winning an Academy Award for it from a guy that to that point you wouldn't think would be an Academy Award winning director necessarily, certainly not an Academy Award winning actor. Now, since then, he's had a bunch of films get nominated, and we probably wouldn't have saw that in 92.
Yeah, Oscars just love nominating that guy.
Yeah, but not to that point. So
true. Yeah.
It was, a kind of like a, did this movie end the Westerns? Now, we know that it didn't, but since that point...
Or did it begin the Westerns?
Or did it begin...
That's what I like to think.
Since that point, things changed a little bit. We'll go over it, but in the decade prior, Westerns had fallen off in the general zeitgeist.
80s were not a Western.
Yeah, not a Western time.
decade.
There's certainly good ones in there, but
Yeah.
not like the years before.
Right.
And it did seem like, we're putting the end on this. This is it. If you're going to do a Western after this, you're going to have to think about it differently.
Yeah, right.
I don't know that everyone did, but is any sort of revisionist Western that came after that better than Unforgiven? I would say no.
Yeah.
Or didn't do as good of a job, or did it maybe in a slightly different time period or whatever.
Right. And it also allowed people to take what they liked from original Westerns and mix in the revisionist kind of vibe and kind of make more playful Hollywood movies like Tombstone, I'm thinking. And like, I mean, that's a pretty classic Western, but it's definitely sprinkled with, anti-heroes and whatnot.
And shot differently too. I mean,
Right.
it feels more like a 90s movie.
Yeah. Right.
Rather than Unforgiven came out in the 90s, but it definitely feels like more of a classic feel.
Right.
I don't know. And then, after that, you get a bunch of smaller Westerns that are examining different characters, different time periods, or, even a lot of neo-Westerns where they're set in more contemporary times. And, kind of more like thrillers. So it's interesting. Yeah, we're going to go over the history of Westerns a little bit later. But that I kind of view that as sort of the before and after point, which I thought was interesting. And I thought you brought that up right away. Well, I guess we can start off a little bit more fun. Our first top 5. I have as top 5 Westerns that aren't really Westerns. Now you could, we texted about this. We could go about this a couple different ways. You could look at this as a Western, like it feels like a Western, but isn't set in a Western setting, or the opposite. It's clearly in a Western setting, should be considered a Western, but doesn't sort of have all the hallmarks of a Western genre movie.
I don't have any of those.
You don't have any of those?
No.
Okay, good, because I have a few.
Okay.
And I thought I put too many in, so that'll work.
Okay, cool.
Do you want to start us off? Because I got a
I guess I do have. Okay, I'm starting off with kind of a separate thing, but I'm actually going to start off with a couple omissions from the Western category. A lot of people think these are Western / they are a couple of my favorite films, and we're going to talk about them in podcasts in the future.
Oh, that's interesting. I kind of did a similar thing.
Yeah.
I wonder if we have the same movies.
Yeah, so I put down There Will Be Blood and No Country for Old Men.
These are omissions.
These
from
are
your
omissions
top 5s. Okay.
from pretty much the discussion today.
I also had No Country.
Yeah, No Country is, well, it's interesting. It's like, okay, it's very clearly like a modern Western, but it would be a modern revisionist Western for sure. It's not like an old school Western. And revisionist Westerns are more like other movies that aren't like Westerns. So at that point, it's kind of just like a movie. I mean, it's, we don't,
No
we
Country
don't
for Hot
have
take,
to call
it's a movie.
It is a movie. There is drama.
It's also a really taut thriller.
Yeah, exactly. I just have always considered it more of, I like thinking of it, sure, as a Western, and I see obviously the comparisons, but
if Tommy Lee Jones' character wasn't in it, I don't think we'd be having this conversation quite as much.
Right.
Even though Llewellyn Moss, played by what's his face, my guy Josh Brolin, he's definitely like a Western-y character. There's clearly a bunch of cowboy hats all over the place. They're in the border town of Texas. Like, it's a Western, but if Tommy Lee Jones
also though isn't like I don't see who his character is in the Western part of it. You know what I mean? There's Tommy Lee Jones, and then there's Javier Bardem. So it's good guy versus bad guy. And he's kind of stuck there in the middle.
Yeah, well, he's very Coen Brothers-y character. Stumbles on a quick way to make money. We've talked about that before, or maybe we haven't. But
anyways, so No Country, and also There Will Be Blood, another one of my favorite films. This is like, it's like
early 1900s, right?
Yeah, so it's like pretty much right after the Westerns, and you got like the town being built, looks like a Western town.
Certainly does.
Clearly like very much like that, but that one really isn't a Western.
It doesn't feel like a Western.
No,
that's kind of what we're talking about. Set in the West, doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
Plus,
a really bad guy is the main character, which isn't very Western-y,
right.
you know.
And we're clearly, we're going to have episodes where we talk about those two movies.
Yeah.
I think I like one more than the other, and you like one more than the other, but we both love these movies. We've already talked about There Will Be Blood in at least one podcast. It's going to come up in others. So yeah, for the sake of talking of other movies, we're excluding those for today's podcast, sort of.
Yeah, and this one might come up, and this one might be a hot take.
Okay.
But I've just never really considered it a Western. I kind of think of it more as a war movie. I'm talking Dances with Wolves.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I see it on a lot of Western lists, but I'm like, yeah, it's kind of like a, what's the word? POW sort of war.
Yeah.
Film.
It definitely
Epic.
is a Western because it's set in the right time. He's out on the plains. He's dealing with indigenous people.
Yeah.
But you're right. It doesn't have a lot of the hallmarks that we're going to go over some tropes and some themes. It doesn't really have any of that. It's a different type of story. I'll just spoil it. I didn't include it on any of my lists either.
Okay, cool.
For part of that reason.
Wondering if you would. I don't know.
No, I mean, I had planned on mentioning it, but I guess I'll just do it now. I do like that movie a lot. The parts that are good in that movie, I think, are as good as about any movie that you can possibly find.
Yeah, and there's a big stretch there where it's really good. You know what I mean?
Like a huge stretch, starting from like 45 minutes in,
right? Where
it's like this is it. We did it, everybody.
Yeah.
But there's kind of the problem. It takes 45 minutes to get there. There's a really bad. I don't really love voiceover work unless you really do it right, and it's bad.
It's really bad.
First of all, it's not needed, and and Kevin Costner's delivery of the voiceover work is really bad. I think Kevin Costner throughout the rest of the movie is really good, and I'm not a huge Kevin Costner as a good actor guy. I think he's a good movie star. I like his movies, but yeah,
good director.
Solid.
He's got his
doesn't have that many,
right?
When you think about it, and so.
But I mean, this is one of them. It's pretty impressive.
It's impressive filmmaking. The hunting the bison scene is just like so sick.
Yeah.
And I think that movie gets bashed a little bit for being kind of like a white savior movie, which is fair. Telling the story of this, it's the Sioux in the movies, but telling the story of an indigenous tribe sort of coming to grips with white contact through the guise of a white character. But I don't think it's a white savior movie cut and paste because he's not saving anybody. If anything, it's the other way around. They sort of 100%. Save him from his own demons, and he's unable to help them from the eventual tide of Western settlement. He doesn't save anybody. So there's probably a bigger and more nuanced conversation to be had about that. But yeah, I didn't include it in any of my lists either because it doesn't feel like a Western.
We're on the same page.
I'm surprised already.
3 for 3. Okay, so top 5.
Let me just give you my exclusions too.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Before we jump into the top fives.
Yeah.
I had No Country. I also had Tampopo because it is like a Western. It's not a Western, but it feels like a Western, and it's awesome. But I talked about it in our first podcast. Yeah. And then Becky and I did the food podcast last week. I talked about that. Right. I just can't talk about Tampopo every week on this podcast. So I didn't include that. And I also didn't include Star Wars, which definitely feels Western-y. Han Solo, gunslinger. Yeah. Definitely on the edge of the frontier in space. All kinds of. It starts off in a desert, right?
But it gets pretty non-Western-y.
It does, and I can't imagine a thought that we won't do an eventual Star Wars podcast, and we'll just talk about it then.
Cool.
So didn't include that.
Nice.
All right, go ahead. Hit me with your top 5.
All right, 5 is a blanket. So, and then I promise I'll get more specific. Pretty much every Coen Brothers movie and every Quentin Tarantino movie feels kind of like a Western.
I have a blanket too, actually. So I'll
this is where I love it. It's almost like we're brothers. Specifically like Oh Brother Where Art Thou, Blood Simple, and Fargo for the Coen Brothers.
Yeah,
all
definitely
feel very Western-y. And then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood feels like a Western, and they're shooting Westerns the whole time, so it's just kind of like on your mind throughout the whole thing.
Kill Bill for sure.
Right, and then the whole scene. Oh yeah, Kill Bill. And then kind of Pulp Fiction. I don't know.
I mean, he's drawing on a bunch of interests, so I'm sure you could. I mean, I can't think of anything at the moment, but I'm sure you can find a scene where.
It in there.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Number 4, Enemy at the Gates?
Oh.
Question mark? I don't know. I don't know if it really feels like a Western, but I will say I want to see it as a Western. That would be sick. Sniper movie,
Acceptable.
on the plains or something. Yeah,
I haven't seen that movie in 20 years.
that movie is pretty good.
I own it
from
on
what I
Blu-ray,
remember.
definitely.
I do too. I've seen it more recently than 20 years ago.
I probably have too, but I haven't seen it since I bought it on Blu-ray.
Number 3, I got Heat.
Oh, good one.
Yep,
I
pretty
didn't
much
think
just
about that one.
cops and robbers.
Yeah.
There you go. Number 2, I put down Pineapple Express.
Oh.
Buddy film, ends with a shootout. Kind of like a chase movie.
Yeah.
It's good guys after bad guys,
Yeah.
bad guys after good guys. Some cops in there. Number 1, I got Easy Rider.
Oh, good one.
Mm-hmm. That one might be my only like real consideration for like a true neo-Western. I don't know. I mean, No Country for Old Men, Hell or High Water also, but
Yeah.
Easy Rider really feels like a Western. Especially
It does,
feels
especially
like
the setting and like
a Western made in that same era, like late 60s, early 70s.
oh yeah, good
Those
point.
are like it's shot like how a Western is shot.
And in the places where they shoot a lot of westerns
Yes,
as
right,
well.
yeah.
So, oh, good one.
Thank you.
And we don't have any repeats.
I love it.
All right, I had this at number 4, but since you did your blanket first, I'll do my blanket first. So Taylor Sheridan kind of has the monopoly these days on Western genre.
True.
Actually, I have a follow up to that later. But
Yeah.
so if you don't know Taylor Sheridan, he did Yellowstone and 1923 and 1883. I'm sure I realized it at some point, but I didn't realize he wrote, I don't think directed, but wrote a few movies earlier that I really consider some very Western vibes. They are Sicario. Didn't know he wrote that.
Wow.
He wrote Wind River. I don't know if you saw that one. It's the one
I
with
didn't- Jeremy Renner.
yeah, it's good. If you haven't
seen
seen
that?
it, you might have. I mean, it came out a few years ago and it was like on Netflix for a while or something
Jennifer
like that.
Lawrence.
No, it's not Jennifer Lawrence. It's Elizabeth Olsen.
Yeah.
It's a really good, another taut thriller, no fluff. It's just really good.
What's that other movie that's just like Wind River?
The one with Jennifer Lawrence.
Maybe.
It's called. What's it called? Winter's Bone.
Winter's Bone.
Yeah.
That's kind of like a West. I don't know.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah,
I don't think Taylor Sheridan wrote that, so it doesn't go with my theme.
Yeah. My bad.
No,
Not to
no,
step
it's
on
fine.
it. I
It's
just
a really
get those
good
two
movie.
movies confused.
Understandable. I think it came out. Well, Wind
No.
River, I think, came out a little bit later.
It did,
But they're both really good. And then he also, you mentioned it, wrote Hell or High Water, which I also did not know.
Nice.
Another good neo-Western bank robber, lot like Heat.
Is that on your list?
Yeah, I have it right here.
Oh, that's in your blanket.
That's in my
Yeah.
blanket.
Got it.
I had
that's
a
crazy.
few of these on my list, and then I was doing my research. So like, damn, I didn't know he wrote all these. So then I just kind of bang, bang, boom. So that's my number 5. Number 4, I have Road Warrior, the
Nice. Oh,
second
you know what?
in the Mad Max.
I had that in my head a long time ago. I never put it down.
Well, I thought about what's the new one called? Thank you, Fury Road. I thought about Fury Road too, but I do feel like Road Warrior is a little
more.
bit more westerny.
100%.
Guy coming in from the wilderness,
I had
helps
all
out
that
of
thought
town,
process when I thought about putting it down. But
helps out of town, helps out of community, and then dips. It's very westerny. Number 3, I have Brokeback Mountain,
Oh.
sort of set in the West, but
True,
in
that's
modern times. But
Western.
it doesn't totally feel
Ain't no
like a
Western
Western.
like that though.
No, it's different. So I have that beautiful movie.
Yeah.
Really, really good. I have
Good score.
I don't remember. I haven't seen it in a while.
It's like 2 notes, and it's like, yeah, it's really good.
Oh, okay.
Check it out.
I want to. Becky's never seen it, and I know, and I don't have it on Blu-ray. Bad job by me. I'll get
I
it.
think I might.
Let me borrow it. Actually, I just want to buy it.
Yeah.
Number 2, I have Logan.
Nice.
Yep, very westerny vibes. Again,
Oh, it is very westerny vibes. That's a good one.
yeah.
Yeah.
I really
I
like
remember that
movie.
being a thing when it came out.
Yeah,
It was like, oh, it's kind of like a western.
and part of it's set in the desert as well.
Yeah.
Directed by your guy James Mangold, which I didn't know.
Mm.
So I did. So then I did some James. I should have known this, but he did Ford versus Ferrari. That movie's sick. Walk the Line's good. Did the new Indiana Jones. 3:10 to Yuma might come up later in this podcast, and then of course, Complete Unknown.
Pretty good.
Yeah, our guy.
Good filmography.
And then number one, another neo-Western, Lone Star from 1996 is really, really good. It's a good, like, it's a really good ensemble drama. There's a bunch of characters you follow. It's a mystery. I wouldn't call it a thriller necessarily. It's just a really good mystery drama set in a border town in like the mid 90s.
Nice. I've never seen it.
It's really good. And I heard it was good.
I'm
and I
intrigued by mystery though.
Yeah, it's great. It has early Matthew McConaughey. It's also like multi-generational, so they go back in time. I heard it was good. It wasn't really firmly on my radar, but when we were doing this podcast, actually, so what happened was the Criterion channel, or the Criterion, I don't know, website, did like a flash sale on all their Blu-rays and 4Ks. And so I was kind of just doing a little, well, sorry. I was doing a little perusing. I did not buy anything, but one of the things I almost bought was this movie on 4K because I heard it was really good. And I was like, you know what? Why don't I just see if it's streaming? And it was streaming on Tubi. So I watched it. Sick. Next flash sale. I'm pulling the trigger. No pun intended. Or
Crazy,
pun intended.
It's a Criterion.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
Really, really good. So there you go. 5 Westerns that aren't really Westerns. That's fun. Why do you think that Westerns so completely captured the audience interest in the time that it was really popular, like 50s, 60s, 70s?
Well, it's crazy to think that it like how recent it was. You know, it seems so old of a period, but it's like, you know, when the silent films were coming out with like Buster Keaton doing all like the whatever that movie's called. I'm blanking on it right now. You know, that was less than 100 years, you know, beforehand that all of this stuff was going down.
It was like 40 years
fresh
beforehand.
on people's minds.
30 years
people,
beforehand.
right. People were alive from then, essentially.
Right.
Where was I going with that?
I'm not really sure. Why do you think they so captured the audience interest?
So I think it was kind of, obviously thrills, you know, big screen action. But I think part of it was just like, this is kind of like our history, especially, you know, thinking of Hollywood. I mean, that is the West, and like California and how much history. It's like, I don't know, people on this side of the country love the West and that period of time.
I also think so. Well, this is going to be a little bit difficult to say. I hope I land the plane on this. What's always fascinated me about the West, as a setting, as a mode of storytelling, as a genre, whatever you want to call it, is the duality between what I think represents, or what people would like to represent, the best of the American ideal and also the worst of the American tragedy. And by that, I mean, from the best of the American ideal, I think people want it to be about heading out onto the frontier with nothing but your own devices and being able to conquer and make something for yourself. And that fascinates me. But on the flip side, there's no denying that Western expansion really wreaked havoc on not only the landscape and the terrain itself, but the indigenous peoples that were living there. And that is well documented throughout history, and not necessarily as well documented in certainly earlier Westerns. Right. That duality is both awesome and incredibly tragic. And at the same time as this is going on, slavery is also going on. And right. I'm probably not the best person to say this, but in my mind, those are the two biggest tragedies that our country, or crimes that our country has committed. Slavery, obviously, and what they eventually did indirectly and directly to the indigenous peoples that were living here at the time. Now, I love Westerns. I'm not going to deny that, but it cannot go unacknowledged about just how tragic this situation was on the whole, on a macro level.
I think that's exactly what. Sorry.
No. Keep going.
I think that's exactly why, though we love Westerns, there's kind of a big hole in like, all right, well, really, how many of these are good movies because they don't acknowledge the horrors and the genocide and all.
Yeah.
it wasn't until later that they started taking some accountability, and it wasn't even really on the nose all the time. Like something like Unforgiven, he has a past of violence and stuff, and he's acknowledging it, and that was a big
Right.
change. But they're not literally acknowledging what happened. What I'm saying is, I think we want to see more of that, or the films that we really like maybe do acknowledge it, or at least don't try to paint this picture of an American West that
was black and white,
Yes,
and
right.
and the settlers are the good guys and everybody
Right.
else, that sort of thing. I mean, that happened a lot in the past, and we talked about this off mic, but those ones are tougher to revisit.
Yeah, I mean, so many of the old Westerns, especially in the 50s, the indigenous people are just the bad guys with
Yeah.
no
Like red shirts, no characterization,
no depth,
Yeah,
just the bad guys, and
Yeah.
often played by white people.
yeah.
Almost always played by
Yeah.
white people.
So there, I mean, we're painting a big broad brush on this. There are obviously westerns that have handled it a little bit better. Most of those are more recent westerns. But yeah, that's just, even when I'm reading a book, that sort of, or watching a show or looking at a documentary or whatever, because the whole concept of the American West fascinates me, and that's one of the biggest fascination. It both represents, in my mind, and I would think a lot of other people's minds, that it can be the best of what this country represents, and it is absolutely, certainly the worst of what this country represents.
That's a good point. Well said.
That duality is fascinating and tragic. And again, we're not historians, and we're a couple of white dudes, so we're probably not the two best people to talk too in depth about this, but I want to acknowledge it. I wanted to point out how tragic and on some level fascinating that is. Not all these movies do the best. Some of them do an outright terrible job of portraying that, but I did want to talk about that early on. So,
Yeah.
All right, should we take a quick break,
Yeah,
and then
let's
we'll
take a
jump
break.
into the history?
Sounds good.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, let's jump through the history. I'll try to do it quick because there's a lot of history. The idea of the Western mystique sort of became popular right out of the gate. Like, as the West was going on, there were nickel and dime novels about Kit Carson, about Buffalo Bill. I'm actually reading a Kit Carson book right now, Blood and Thunder. It's pretty sick.
Right.
But, they even romanticized Jesse James and Billy the Kid, who are murderers and outlaws and terrible people.
That was a big part of those figures, was legend and people making up stories.
Oh, yeah,
and,
like, painting them as like a Robin Hood type figure.
Exactly.
No, they
or
were
like
just...
with like English Bob, in Unforgiven.
Yeah.
How it's all just kind of.
Oh, yeah,
It's all just like made up.
yeah,
It's,
they go into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a really cool. I'd love that. Well, that's gonna
yeah,
come up.
okay.
Spoiler alert. That's gonna make at least one of my big lists.
How many times have we mentioned Unforgiven?
Mr. Beauchamps. That's
Yeah.
Saul Rubinek.
Nice.
He's great.
Yeah, he is great.
So it was there right out of the gate. People ate it up. On film, well, AFI defines Westerns as set in the American West that embody the spirit and struggle and the demise of the new frontier. So
Nice.
I actually have, we're going to
Good
cut.
job, AFI.
I'm going to cut the history lesson short right here, and we're going to talk Western themes,
Okay.
because you got to have like some main Western themes. We divide everything up in here fives. Take it away, Jack. What do you think? Am I doing this one?
Yeah, you're doing themes.
Okay, I'll do
Yeah,
themes. So I have the theme.
I think I'll have some to add.
Maybe. So I have the theme of revenge versus justice. That's a huge one. Everyone's always looking for revenge. And then it's like, is this revenge? Is this justice? Oh, it's the same thing. No, it's not the same thing. Love that stuff.
Yeah.
Law and order versus frontier justice, which is kind of on
Right.
the same, plane as that. But
But it was a different thing. There was law out on the plains and there was law in the towns. And
Yeah.
it was not the same thing.
And
there wasn't much law. It
there wasn't much
a lot of
law.
people just making those calls themselves.
And frontier justice is when if you get caught with a stolen horse, they just hang you.
Honestly, rewatching a lot leading up to this.
Summary justice, another word.
Nice. I noticed how often the sheriff or whoever was running the town really was just making it up as they go along, or
Yeah.
you know, it was just their calls, just one dude, whether they got elected or they had money. You know, there's always a different reason why the main guy was the main guy. Sometimes it's a good guy, sometimes it's not.
Right.
But they all
Right.
kind of have their own morals. It's like the town was up to whoever was the sheriff.
Yeah,
It's pretty
and
much
like
the mayor.
in a bunch of them, it's like, you know, what are we gonna do? Let's call the sheriff. Hey, man, they live 2 towns over or whatever. They're not gonna be here for, you know. It's like that whole thing, and you just gotta handle it yourself.
We can call that one the justice system.
Justice system, like it. A big one is closing up of the West or settling the frontier. That's in many a Western, how civilization's coming in and the old way is dying out.
Right.
That's a big theme.
Yeah.
Man versus wilderness. We touched on that earlier. I always like that. Can you go out into the wild
Yep.
and come out on the other side?
Mm-hmm.
And then, again, it's not usually handled particularly well, at least in the early Westerns, but I have settlers versus indigenous peoples.
Yeah.
It's a big theme,
Mm-hmm.
not always well handled, a little bit more well handled, or well, I don't know about well handled, but more handled in a more nuanced way in more recent Westerns. And I still think there's a lot of work to do there.
Yeah.
So on films, Western was over there right from the beginning. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have anything to add that I
Yeah,
didn't get? Oh, go for it. I'm sorry. I cut you off.
I think my number one is time, which sounds pretty vague.
Kind of touches
let
on a
me-
couple of things where, yeah, go
Well,
ahead.
Let me get into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
So it's hard to think
You're
of a Western.
talking Back to the Future 3.
Exactly. a perfect example.
Oh, you are talking about Back to
No,
the-
no, no.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
not, but that is a perfect example of essentially my point. There, of course, I mean, it's embedded in what it is. The Western is about the past.
Right.
It's old stuff. It's the
nostalgic.
Exactly. It's also, like you just said, about the changing of the frontier
Yeah.
and the disappearance of that over time. Also, pretty much every film has every Western has like a representation of time, like in a specific way, whether it be over the course of a couple days, like
Sure.
High Noon. It's
Sure.
literally one day. It's like one of the only Westerns that's in complete real time, which is
Times
pretty
in the
cool.
title.
True, exactly. Or it's over the course of 50 years. There,
Yeah.
like every story is like about whether you don't have enough time, and everything's happening too fast,
yeah.
or this is an epic tale of over time. Also, it's usually about old men who are old
Quite often.
and changing their ways or not changing their ways.
And reconciling with their past.
Exactly. And they're usually pretty darn slow.
Yeah.
They're usually
True.
long, and they're usually make you sit there.
You mean
and
Westerns are usually
exactly.
long and are slow.
They
yeah.
force you to sit there and make you feel like you're watching years pass, and doesn't work with a lot of people. I think it's honestly one of the main things that turns people off of Westerns is I'm not trying to sit here for 2.5 hours
Right.
with nothing happening. So that's my time spiel.
I like it. That's a
Yeah.
good one. Any other themes?
Nope.
That was a good one.
Well, we kind of barely touched on it, but and this is kind of not really man versus wilderness, but the lone wanderer.
Yeah.
And the idea of the self and having to internally fix things yourself.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Struggle with
Moral
morals.
ambiguity.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Western themes. That was 7. High 7s. No, I like it though. On films, Westerns were there right from the beginning. You mentioned in the silent era, hugely popular. They had a bit of a lull once the talkies started. Don't really know why that is. And then in 1939, things really started to kick into high gear. Films like Dodge City, Union Pacific, Destry Rides Again. I have seen one of those movies. But John Ford's masterpiece, Stagecoach, that was the big banana.
Yeah.
That sort
A
of
lot of
led
people
us
consider that, the genre defining moment.
Yeah, and that it was also, I mean, he had been in other movies, but that was like the star-making performance of John Wayne, who eventually became, if again, along with Clint Eastwood, if not the biggest star, certainly the second biggest Western star.
Another example of small period of time, and
Stagecoach. No, yeah, you're right. Yeah,
First
good one. So John Ford, he and John Ford partnered up. They made a bunch of movies. He did a lot of movies with Howard Hawks, and those are probably the two biggest and most celebrated directors of that time. You look like you want to say something.
Who did a lot of movies with Howard Hawks?
I'm sorry, John Wayne.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Copy. I was
Not-
still
not
on the John Ford. I was like, wait a minute.
I'm
Did they
sorry,
do
I didn't
some
say that
crazy
right.
epic collab I didn't know about?
No. John Ford partnered
Got
with,
it, yeah.
John Wayne partnered with John Ford for a bunch of movies and partnered with Howard Hawks for a bunch of movies. And they weren't all Westerns. John Ford is like the most decorated Oscar director of all time. You think he won 4? Do I have it in my notes? Yeah, he won 4. And to my knowledge, not for any Westerns. But
Yeah,
he's certainly known for making a bunch of Westerns, as is Howard Hawks, as are many others.
And at least 2 of these definitely feel like Grapes of Wrath and The Quiet Man both feel like Westerns.
Could have gone on the Westerns that aren't Westerns.
Exactly,
list.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and also, I mean, there's a chicken and egg thing there. Like, does it feel like a Western because it feels like a Western, or does he make movies that feel like Westerns and therefore people make more movies like that?
Yes, 100%. I've almost gotten into that earlier, but I was like, I don't even know how to say what I'm thinking right now. Inception.
Yeah. Big history on TV too, with Gunsmoke, Bonanza, Wild West, many others. Wild West made into a not good movie many years later. Wild West, I should say. Starting in the 60s and continuing well into the 70s, spaghetti westerns started to take over. These were westerns that were made on a much smaller budget.
In Italy.
Overseas, yeah. Italy and a little bit of Spain, from Italian directors. And they were made for a much smaller budget, like I said. We mentioned why they were called spaghetti westerns. They are usually much more violent.
Yes.
They had a distinct audio style because all the audio, not only the dialogue, but all the audio was dubbed later on. And
that's a big one for me. Kind of not a big spaghetti western guy.
I was about to ask you.
It's kind of because of the audio is one of the big ones.
It's a distinct thing. I'm actually not a big spaghetti western guy either. I mean, I recognize the big ones as being objectively awesome.
Yeah.
They're just not my favorites, and I think that's going to be a hot take from people who love westerns.
Yeah,
I don't care.
I don't care either. But the funny thing is, like, sound in spaghetti westerns is super interesting and feels like influenced people later on. It was kind of like comes out of nowhere, and it's part of the dubbing process, obviously, but that part of it kind of works for me.
Yeah.
And it feels experimental and it kind of throws you off. And there's usually like kind of I'm thinking a lot of Sergio Leone. Has a lot of suspense.
I have a follow-up to, I think, what you're saying.
A lot of like suspenseful like sounds and the music is kind of just the same throughout, and it just kind of like messes with your head a little bit.
Yeah, and he uses sound in a really good way to propel the story propels maybe not the right word because his movies are slow, but
Right.
To tell, he does a good
keeps it
job
moving.
to tell the story. And I actually back in college I had a sound editing class, and they showed the beginning of Once Upon a Time in the West in the class, and how it is
That's
using his harmonica, using
water dripping,
the fly
the
that's on him,
windmill.
and then how he uses the harmonica. And I forget what the other instruments are, but all the 3 main characters have a similar motif that comes up when they show up on screen. And that's an extremely influential way to do things because
Right.
people do that all the time now.
Yeah.
So
super good movie.
yeah, that one's good. I like all his movies. I don't love them, but
That
a
one's
lot of
probably
the
my
other
favorite.
spaghetti westerns out there just kind of aren't really my jam.
Right.
But he's a master, and those ones are, again, I don't love all of them, but they are good.
Right.
Do they make the list? We'll find out. So another thing about spaghetti westerns is while they certainly have gotten more easy to watch. We've mentioned this in other podcasts because the first time I saw them on my square box TV on VHS, and it's like, man, this is a long fucking movie, and pull the pistol already. Let's get this thing moving.
Right.
But when you see it on the new TVs on Blu-ray,
Yeah.
I mean, the scenery is great.
It's
and
pretty
it
good.
makes it more palatable.
does.
It really looks beautiful. And they are often set in the desert. They are often really big wide shots of the landscape, which brings me to my next top 5, Jack.
They do wide shots also of like, smaller things, you know what I mean? All the shootouts are like super wide shots.
Yeah.
And
even like in like a small like rundown town is a big wide shot.
yeah.
So Jack,
Sorry, I interrupted you.
That's okay.
You were making a point.
what are your top 5 Western locales / settings? You can go general. You can go specific movie. You can do whatever you want here.
Yeah, I went specific.
Good, because I went general. Do you want to go
Ooh,
first?
wow.
That's right. Look at us.
Yeah,
It's like we're dancing, Jack.
it is. I couldn't decide between 2 towns.
Okay.
So I made them my 4 and 5.
I have a shout out to a town. I wonder if you chose one. Go ahead.
I'm going number 5, Tombstone.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's a good one.
Yeah. Iconic, and it is, like we said earlier, it's very 90s. They put a lot of money into it. It's really like, I don't want to use the term New Hollywood because that's actually, but it's like very 90s Hollywood.
70s. Yeah.
Blockbuster.
Sure.
It's really satisfying. My number 4 is the town from Rio Bravo.
Yeah.
Because you really get the whole thing. You go into like so many different rooms and buildings.
You get a lot of different characters.
The bar is really good. Yeah. Love Rio Bravo. And then it's kind of all based around the jail. We talked a little bit about, or I texted you about how Open Range is very much Rio Bravo.
Yeah.
Because they're putting people, they keep the guy in the jail.
Yeah.
The main villain in Rio Bravo looks exactly like the dude who they're waiting for to come into town in, like the character and the actor looks exactly the same.
It does.
And that guy only lasts like 3 minutes in the movie. It's great. I love
I
it.
shot the bullet too.
Oh man.
I enjoyed
You're waiting for someone to get like shot in that whole movie and the first guy gets it right between the eyes. It's great. That's really good. Wait, I was talking about the Rio Bravo town.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Number 3, I've got, this I guess is another town. Hey, it's locations. Towns. It's like
What else are you gonna do?
Right. McCabe and Mrs. Miller.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Never seen anything like it. There's just like not another movie, and it's
great.
there's bridges. There's like a river running through. There's bridges everywhere, and they walk on these like little platforms to different things.
It's snowy. It's
snowy.
muddy.
It's in the Pacific Northwest, which we don't get enough of.
Oh, I didn't remember that.
Yeah, it's in Washington.
Tight.
Yeah, it's dark. I love it. Super good
really
production
good.
design.
Yeah.
That's
Another
a-
one that benefited from Blu-rays and 4Ks.
True. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one.
It's a beautiful movie.
It is a beautiful movie. Number 2, you ready for this?
I know.
And this definitely needs a shout out. It probably needs a separate shout out, to be honest.
Let's do another podcast about it.
I'm ready. Well, it'll probably come up eventually in some other podcasts. The gold mining scene from The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Oh.
Possibly the greatest, I don't know how long it is, 10 minutes of a Western. I think maybe my favorite 10 minutes of any Western ever.
Wow.
That moment was like, I need this entire film.
Wow.
I mean, it's Tom Waits as a gold rush. It is extremely, that one in particular, it's all about him like building a home in this secret little valley that is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want anybody ever to come and find it. It's like this little Eden, and it's so incredibly shot, and it's just like, I need to be there. I want to be living in this tiny little cabin in it's
Wow.
my dream. And
Best
it's so good.
Western 10 minutes ever.
Mainly because it's a full story and it really could be a full film, and it's full vignette, and it really could be a full film.
I didn't really think about Buster Scruggs in any of my lists.
Yes.
That could have been a tactical error on my part.
And probably maybe the best representation of the Oregon Trail we get in any sort of film.
Well, that's my favorite stretch of that movie.
But I will say that 1883, is that the one? Yeah. That one is Oregon Trail, and that is a pretty great season of television.
I haven't seen it.
It's good. It's really good.
Bad job by me. But
Super
Becky
solid.
never wants to watch it, so it's like, when do I watch it?
Violent.
Well,
It's pretty, yeah.
saddle up.
So is the vignette
Yeah.
in Battle of Buster Scruggs.
Yeah.
My number one is Monument Valley for the Searchers.
Okay.
That should be Monument Valley. Anyways,
I think
the
it
Searchers
is. Monument Valley
locations-
was used a lot, though. So
it was used a lot.
Fair enough.
The Searchers is probably the most visually breathtaking Western we get. Honestly, it's so good. It's so good on Blu-ray. It's great.
I know. I didn't revisit it. For
Oh
this
man,
podcast.
and the cinematography is incredible, and
That's another one that I didn't think would make my list because of the thing we were talking about earlier. It's not the most.
And it ruins the movie.
It's racially insensitive, to put it lightly.
It's on an insane amount of people's like top 5 lists,
right?
And it would be if not for all of that stuff, which is a big part of the movie.
I completely agree.
But like a lot of stretch of that movie, I'm like, this is way better than I remember, and then it just gets a little.
Yeah, I need to watch it again, but I didn't.
And treatment of women is also not great in that movie,
Hey.
or in westerns in general. We haven't really talked about that.
That is true.
And westerns in general is a very boy genre. I mean, maybe I don't want to make that big assumption.
No.
It's very.
No, you're right.
Macho. And,
yeah. I put on. Do you remember the movie McClintock?
Yeah.
I put on that with the kids, just as like I was like, I want to do something that I know is appropriate for them, and
not that.
It was a little bit too.
I don't really remember it. I pretty much only remember the mud fight scene.
The mud fight scene is top notch, fantastic. Maybe my favorite 10 minutes. No, I'm kidding. But a lot of not so great treatment of women. A lot of racist jokes. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? We'll save this one for another time.
Yeah.
Or if ever. I remember loving that movie though. So I was just like, man.
Yeah.
Kind of, hey, bad job by me, by younger me.
Win some, you lose some.
You win some, you lose some. All right, here's my top 5. I went general, so I'm glad. I'm glad this worked out this way.
Yeah.
First of all, shout out to Big Whiskey, which is not general, but that's the setting in Unforgiven. How many times can we mention that before we get to our? I just love the name.
Made my long list. Certainly
love the name.
best town name.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the best setting, but the best name for sure. All right, so I went with the Mexican-American border. Just great,
yeah.
Rio Grande, just fantastic. Went with the Rocky Mountains. Love westerns set in the mountains. Snowy capped peaks. It's just great. California Sierras, similarly, but we live in California.
Yeah,
and I love that.
Don't get a lot of those.
We don't get a lot of them.
There are not a lot of California westerns.
I think we mentioned this in other podcasts, but maybe it was just because we talked to each other all the time. But not a lot of Gold Rush westerns.
Yeah, did we talk about that in a podcast?
I think we did, but I don't know what it would have been.
The Gold Rush. I love the Gold Rush as a time period, and I'm fascinated by it. And there's just no documentation of it on film.
Yeah, it's rough.
Few and far between.
I have number 2 is speaking of Monument Valley, the Southwest Desert.
Yeah.
A lot of them have set there. It's great. Really tough setting. Makes for good drama.
Yep.
And number 1, I have the Plains.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, not necessarily the best looking whatever, but that's my favorite area for westerns to be set if I'm reading a book, if I'm watching a movie, because it's so empty and it's like you're out in the middle of the ocean. And again, I'm not an expert, I'm not a scholar, but plains warfare is different, and they acknowledge that in some of my favorite westerns. This is no bar scrape in Arkansas. This is plains warfare. That's coming up in something I'm going to talk about later.
Also with Lewis and Clark, when they got to the plains, there's a lot of like documentation of them just being like awestruck by the never endingness of it. And it started to mess with them in their heads, even beyond the danger of the indigenous people or tribes attacking them or anything. It was terrifying because they just could not tell how long it was going to last.
Yeah.
And it disoriented them.
Yeah, and in one of the earlier, like one of the prequels to Lonesome Dove, I don't remember which one, but I remember it was these characters. They really say, hey, man, you got to stay with the group, because if you go down a dip and we don't see you and you're gone, and we won't be able to find you. Right. It's like you're gone.
Yeah.
So.
Also, not a lot of Lewis and Clark stuff.
True.
Let's make it.
True. I am not a Lewis and Clark scholar.
So you should watch. You should watch the Ken Burns Lewis and Clark.
Done. So westerns. Back to the history. Then it got to the 80s. Interest started to taper off. 80s movies were different.
80s movies in general were.
Could be a little bit of the ending of the Vietnam War and people's sensibilities changed. Could be different filmmakers trying different stories. Could be that everybody was on cocaine. Yeah. Who knows? But interest tapered off, and there's still a lot of good movies made.
Yeah.
Good Western
like studios didn't really know where to put their money.
Yeah.
And that's what drastically changed about the 90s is then all the studios were like, take all the money, put it all into making these big epic things.
Yeah. And we talked about that in other podcasts too, about, in the 80s, things really shifted towards, wow, this can be a economic proposition rather than let's make a great movie. So, as we mentioned, Unforgiven was a huge commercial success and a critical success, and got a lot of reception. And that's sort of like
Oscars?
What?
Won 3 Oscars?
Best Picture, Best Director, Best Supporting Actor. I don't know if it won under the below the line stuff. Forgot to look. But that was sort of like the end of the, classic Western, as we talked about. And interest waned. And there were a lot of good ones in the 80s and after, in the 90s and 2000s, but they just never really sort of captured that cultural interest like they did in previous years. Why do you think they fell off? I mean, we kind of touched on it.
I don't know. At the time, they were so serial when they were big.
Good point.
There were shows that was just the same thing every week. I mean, like you couldn't not watch Westerns. And then I honestly think just as far as television, they just started doing other ideas and, those sort of things kind of, doing those serial goofy things. People just,
they moved on.
They moved on. I think they wanted something different.
I just thought of this now. It's a little bit like the superhero phenomenon.
Yeah.
That came, they were making superheroes before the MCU sort of, took over. And there were a lot of good ones, but they weren't really capturing the audience as a whole. But when Iron Man hit and they started making Avengers movies and made it all one succinct story, it's like it was superhero movies for 10 years.
Yeah. And then they started falling off.
Do you think Westerns will ever come back? I mean, maybe not to the level that it was, but do you think there's ever going to be a revival of the Western genre?
I don't think it will be like the 50s.
No.
But I think they will continue to be accepted, and people will hopefully just start telling some more stories.
Follow-up question that I, again, just thought of. Do you think we're in the revival right now and we're just maybe not seeing the forest from the trees? Because we have Yellowstone. We have 1883. They're not movies necessarily. We have 1923. We had Deadwood a few years back.
Yeah.
They're just telling stories in a different way. I mean, you can make the argument.
Yeah.
Speaking of, this is not something I had in my notes.
Oh, jeez.
I know. I saw this last night, and I was like, shit. And Becky's like, are you going to talk about it? I was like, you goddamn right I'm going to talk about it. I read the article. It was like some small, maybe it was a Hollywood Reporter. I don't remember where. But they said because of the interest in Westerns coming back a little bit, Teton Ridge, I think, production company. We're going to have to fact check that. I never heard of them, so I don't know. Recently bought the rights to the Lonesome Dove series, and a new Lonesome Dove is in the works to be made as a remake. Don't know if it's a movie. Don't know if it's a show. but
Really?
I already bought tickets to go, and let's go.
Man, and they could do, because that's a whole does it carry over in
Finish that question because people can't see me nodding.
Larry McMurtry?
Yeah.
Is it like a verse?
It is. So he wrote
McMurtry
Lonesome
verse?
Dove, and then after Lonesome Dove, he wrote a sequel called Streets of Laredo, and then after that, he wrote 2 prequels called, respectively, Dead Man's Walk and Comanche Moon.
Right.
I've read them all. They're all great. Nothing gets quite to the height of Lonesome Dove, but they're all wonderful reads. And so there's a lot of stuff there that they could do. Now, me personally, I hope they do like a 3-part movie of Lonesome Dove because it's a long book, and I don't know what you would cut out. But
What if they did
another miniseries, I'd be okay.
What if they did
Okay.
a series and told it all in order, and then you just get Lonesome Dove eventually? Or do you do it in a creative way where you like retell the story and mix things up? And well, I don't like that one.
I don't know because Lonesome Dove is the cream of the crop. It doesn't have as much a hold on everybody these days as it did 40 years ago. But although on TikTok, they got me on book TikTok, and a lot of younger people are discovering Lonesome Dove, as they should.
Because we're in the revival.
Because we're in the revival. That's true. It all comes back. Anyway, I think that's sort of the ticket seller, whatever you want to call it. So if you start with Dead Man's Walk, people will be like, I don't even know what this is. But Lonesome Dove, as much as any of those books is the name brand that people will drive to. Now, again, it's not a hugely popular, it's not like if they remade The Godfather or
Is
something,
it possible
which they should
to make in one film?
I mean, possible, sure. You'd have to cut out a lot.
Sounds bad. I haven't seen Lonesome Dove in a while, but I loved it, obviously.
Well, that's my favorite
Thing
ever, piece of fiction ever. So, anyway, moving on. Will it come back? Possibly. It already is the point.
Mm-hmm.
All right, before we
It's
take...
Western.
Let's do it.
You kind of are.
I'm trying.
You are.
So before we take another break and head into the big top 5s, I have a secret top 5 lessons for you. Top 5 lessons in the form of quotes from famous Westerns. Life lessons.
Hit me.
All right. Number 1. It's a hell of a thing killing a man. You take away everything he's got and everything he's going to have. We haven't mentioned that movie yet today. Just kidding. That's Unforgiven.
I was like, wait.
If you're going to shoot. Don't talk. That's from Tuco and The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. Good advice.
Nice.
Don't blabbermouth. Just shoot the person. This is the West, Jack. When the legend becomes fact, print the legend. That's from our guys in The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. Hey, man, print the good story.
Nice.
We don't want the facts. We want the juice. We want the smoke.
Although, with revisionist Westerns, we kind of want some facts.
Okay. Jack, number 2 is We Deal in Lead, friend. That's right. And my number 1...
Wait, I don't know that one.
I'm sorry, from Magnificent Seven.
Oh, nice.
And my number 1 lesson learned from a Western is a man who wouldn't cheat for a poke doesn't want one bad enough.
Nice.
Also, speaking of, from Lonesome Dove. All right, we're going to jump into the main top 5s in a second. Whoa. What did I do?
They're not lesson quotes.
Oh, that was a secret. How do you have quotes? Did I put that in the document?
No, I just wrote down hella quotes as I was watching movies. I didn't write down hella.
All right, hit me with it. I didn't know you would be prepared to rebut my life lessons via quotes joke.
Yeah, man.
All right, let's go.
I wrote down 4, but I got 5. I'll do, as my number 5, I'll do Stupid Fucking White Man. That's from Dead Man. And nobody is the Native American character who is with Johnny Depp the whole movie.
Yeah. I haven't seen that in a long
literally says it just so many times. And everyone, I mean, like he's saying it a lot, but sometimes it just hits so well. It's great. How can you trust a man that's wearing a belt and suspenders? Man can't even trust his own pants.
What's that
That's
from?
Henry Fonda in How the West or Once Upon a Time in the West. Great.
Nice.
Henry Fonda's a great villain.
He's
Also,
super great.
super scary.
Is that
creepy
the
and
only
gross.
like villain
Yes,
he
I'm pretty
is?
sure it is because I think I read something that was like nobody was ready for Fonda to be
Oh
a
man,
villain.
he's great in
Yeah.
that.
My friend and I got a hankering for Switzerland chocolate and some good smoke.
Oh, that's yeah,
That's open range. After the little
That's a good
the little
one.
scene
Yeah.
where they go into the store. That's a great scene. 460 acres might be little to you, Nathan, but it's a lot of country for me.
I don't know that one.
That one's Rio Bravo.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did I not remember that? That's a good one.
Yeah. Stumpy says it.
Stumpy. Love that dude.
I think I got one more. They don't need any help with that tune. That one's also Rio Bravo. Someone's playing guitar and he says, he's basically telling them to stop.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Pretty
Oh
good.
man, I love it. I wrote down a bunch of quotes that I thought I would sprinkle in, and then I haven't been doing it. But what are you gonna do?
I know. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to sprinkle all these in.
Yeah, that's
So
why
I
I
just-
kind of did the.
I like
5
it.
life
That worked
lessons,
out.
You know. All right, we're gonna take another quick break, and then we'll jump into the meat and bones and pistols and horses of this episode.
Let's do it.
All right, take a quick break. Come right back. All right. Getting down to the nitty gritty here. So, Westerns in their beginning phases were morality tales. As they progress, many of the characters, many of the storylines become much more morally ambiguous. That kind of leads us into, we've touched on that, but that kind of leads us into reoccurring tropes that show up in many a Western.
Yeah. They've
And-
all got their little things.
They do.
Some don't have all, but
No, but it's rare that one doesn't have any of them in there.
right. Oh, yeah.
We talked about Dances with Wolves. I think it's impressive when you can tell a Western tale when you don't include the tropes and it's just like a different type of story. But that's not what this conversation is about. We're hitting tropes and we're hitting it hard. So what are some of your favorite tropes that either you like to see, that you expect to see, that you like when they're pulled off well? You can go grand, you can go small. I have mine, but I have them as kind of smaller ones. So hit me with some of the tropes that you like to see when you hit it, when you jump into a Western.
All right. 5 I've got down. Got to have a saloon.
Yeah.
Pretty much almost all of them got saloons.
Gotta have a saloon.
Gotta have a saloon.
That was
Love-
literally my number 5 as well.
Yeah. The lone wanderer.
Yeah.
It's kind of basic, but yeah, just the solo guy
Yep.
out on horseback,
Yep.
coming into town or not coming into town, leaving
Kind of the
town.
road warrior thing that we
Yeah.
talked about earlier.
Trains. Trains is, the railroad was obviously a very big part
Yes.
of the West, but trains specifically in Westerns for me is like, because that one isn't in all of them.
No.
And if I'm watching a Western for the first time and the train shows up, I'm like, we got a train scene on our hand.
In fact, I'm looking at my list. I thought I had trains or railroad or whatever, but I guess I don't have that. That's a great one.
I put down great supporting characters.
Oh,
Yeah. Or, some of them are more ensemble cast, but also if not, usually there's, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a Robin sort of character to the main guy.
Oh,
or,
sure. Yeah.
like somebody helping him out.
sidekick. Yeah.
Usually comic relief.
Oftentimes there's like a drunk doctor.
Right. Yeah.
There's always a drunk doctor.
There's always a drunk of some sort.
Yeah.
Maybe someone a little slow.
Yeah.
Or I was just thinking of
No, yeah,
Stumpy.
like comic relief. Yeah.
Right. Cattle drives.
Cattle drives is a good one.
I think that's 5, right? I said 5.
I don't know. I wasn't counting.
What else you
Sounds
got?
good. So I have, you mentioned saloon. Got to have revenge versus justice versus retribution. The lawman and the anti-hero. Who's right,
right.
who's wrong. Sometimes the lawmen, oftentimes are bad characters,
Right.
and you got to overcome that. Oh, I repeated myself because I put Closing Up of the West and Civilization when I had that earlier. So
That was a theme. It's not really. I guess
it's not really a
trope.
trope, but
Oh, you know what? Music, scores,
That's a
good
good
scores.
one.
That's a good. I meant to put that down.
that's a good
And
one.
usually simple or music in general. Often people have instruments, of course. Whether it be a
Yeah.
harmonica or guitar or something.
That's a really good one.
Um,
There's usually like a stagecoach robbery.
Yeah.
Or a train robbery, which
Yeah.
you kind of hit on trains.
A robbery
or a
of some
bank
sort.
robbery.
Mhm.
And then the last one, you got to have a big climactic shootout.
Yep.
Gots to. I
Gots
mean, you
to.
don't have to,
Yeah.
but they often do.
Yeah.
So those are my 5 tropes
like
that I like to see.
Yeah. Shootout.
And if you don't have a shootout at the end, man, you better be doing something.
Right.
Which leads me to top 5 Western shootouts. Who wants to start?
You got.
All right, these
Take
are
it.
my 5.
All right.
I have the fist. These are not all climactic shootouts.
Okay. Good.
I have the Fistful of Dollars when Clint Eastwood shows up, and I forget exactly why he confronts these people because I haven't seen the movie in a while. But there's these like 3 or 4 cowboys sitting on a fence and they're whatever, and he walks up to him, and as he's walking by the coroner, he's like, "Get 3 coffins ready," and he's like, "What?" He's like, 3 coffins, and then he goes over and they talk to him, and they're like making fun of him, and he says something about like, you're making fun of my mule, and I don't really mind it myself, but so you have to apologize to my mule, and they're like, ha ha ha, and then he goes, I don't know why he like gets all serious. I don't know why you're laughing. You need to apologize, and they all get serious, and then they kind of reach for their guns a little bit, and then it's like pow 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 pow. It's sick. And then as he's walking back towards the corner, he goes, my mistake, 4 coffins. It's just great. Love that scene. We touched on it. I have the opening of Once Upon a Time in the West. It's just great. The whole build up. The train gets there. Trains, by the way. It leaves. They don't think he's there, but he gets on the opposite side of the train. He starts playing the harmonica, and he's, you're short 1 horse. Oh yeah, we're short 1 horse. And he goes, no, you brought too many.
Yeah. Great line.
Pow, 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 pow. It's sick. Same director, same sort of vibe. It's really great. 3:10 to Yuma, the big finale in the town. I'm talking
That is a good
remake.
one.
3:10 to Yuma. I love parts of the movie. I don't love other parts of the movie. The very, very end is a little eye-rolly to me personally. I know a lot of people really love it. So if anybody listens to this podcast, and thank you, some people are going to be upset that we didn't include that, or that I didn't include it. I don't know what you're going to say. But the actual finale where everybody's shooting up the town, the outlaws are there, and Christian Bale's trying to get Russell Crowe's character onto the train and fighting everybody. It's really cool and really well choreographed, and a lot of good knowing where everybody is in the town. And it's a tough geography thing to manage to where you're not getting confused about where you are. So that's really good. Number 2, we've mentioned it a couple times. Open Range, dude, is sick.
It's incredible.
I don't necessarily love the movie. I like the movie. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
And our father is going to be disappointed if he ever listens to this, because that's one of his favorite movies,
Yeah.
and rightfully so. It's good.
No, we're talking about it.
But the shootout at the end,
Shootout,
it's like
it's
they're
one of-
shooting cannons off.
It literally is one of the
Sound is great.
great. Just like big gun sound, and people are getting like when he shoots the guy through the wall and he gets like blown back and slams against the other wall. It's like, can a gun even do that?
I don't know, but I don't care.
It's very well received on the web, if you will. Like there's a
internet
lot
tells
of
us we're right about
yes,
that.
the internet definitely says this is one of the greatest.
Which who cares? But
Right, no, 100%.
But it is.
No,
It's
but
awesome.
I saw some quote that it was one of the better. I'm not going to remember the term. Like one of the better shot to impact representations of how a gun actually is in film.
Oh,
like there was
that's
a whole
cool.
person breaking that down.
Oh, that's cool. And a little creepy.
Yeah,
But
it's also like a half hour long.
yeah, it's
like-
a huge set
Yeah.
piece.
I'm like,
And
I'm like looking at how much time is left in the movie. I'm like, there's a lot of time left in the movie, and this thing's about to start.
And to
It
your
was a good
point,
build up to
the
it.
movie's a little slow. It's not. It's not like boring. It's not bad in that way, but it's clearly building up to a finish.
Yeah.
And the finish does not disappoint.
Open Range was like the only Western I could think of that didn't represent my whole, like, it's either a small period of time or long period of time, because Open Range is like 2 weeks. And I'm like, this one's a little different. And
that is a period of time.
Right. True. Yeah, that's a good one.
Speaking of slow builds to climactic finishes.
True.
The first time I'm going to mention this movie on the podcast, I'm not going to make that joke anymore. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Is Unforgiven. And man, that shootout, it's not necessarily like the flashiest or the sickest or the whatever, but it's like the thesis of the movie where they're constantly saying, you know, it's not the quickest draw. It's not the fastest gun. It's the one who's going to remain cool-headed. This dude shows up in a room full of 20 dudes and just starts murdering people left and right, and no one can hit him because they're all scared of this guy.
Right.
And
that's another good like representation of shooting, because like nobody gets hit. Like, I mean, he hits people.
Yeah,
but like they're all missing him.
Yeah, and who's a fellow owns this shithole? He just walks in and
there are literally like 10 amazing lines throughout the last 15 minutes of that movie.
I had one pulled up. That was one of the quotes I had.
Yeah.
You be William Money killing women and children out in Missouri. And he goes, that's right.
That's right.
I've killed women and children. I've killed everything that's walked or crawled one time or another. And I'm here to kill you, little Bill, for what you did to Ned. Yeah, so sick. And then he points it at Little Bill, and he does this with Skinny, the bartender, too. He goes, you boys better clear out of there. Like, because he's wielding a shotgun which sprays. Right. And
he like takes a shot halfway through, killing everybody also. He like takes a moment. It's like, he's just getting going.
Oh, my God. I mean, it's great. It's terrifying. It's, you know, obviously tragic because he's got his own demons and kills like 4.
Yeah, but they're all bad guys this time.
Yeah. Are they? I mean, they are, but like, are they?
Kind of.
I mean, they killed Ned,
right?
But also Ned's a murderer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things I like about
Ned also like goes and tells Little Bill that William Money's about to come into town and get like fuck everybody up.
Right.
And then gets killed. It's like, maybe you shouldn't have done that.
Well,
I mean, he's making a point, obviously, but
you mean maybe Ned shouldn't have done that?
Yes.
Like, don't tip him off?
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. I wonder, like,
it's like he's kind of asking for it at that point. I mean, Little Bill didn't really have much of a choice. I mean, didn't have to hang him out in front of Greeley.
Beat him to death. Right. You just shot an unarmed man. Well, he should have armed himself. He's going to decorate his saloon with my friend. It's just great.
Decorate his saloon with my friend is just like...
I think I have that tattooed on my back. Not really. But I just love that scene. And it's obviously really intense. But to the point that I made about Open Range... It's a pretty slow movie, and that is building to that scene, and boy, does it deliver. It's just so sick.
Yeah.
That's my 5.
I like it. Might be kind of similar to mine. My 5, okay, so I wrote down 6, but one of them's not really a shootout, and I kind of just really wanted to talk about it at some point in this episode.
Ooh, I wonder if it's one of my... It probably isn't. One of my... just missed on this list because it's not really a shootout, so I didn't include it. I don't think it will be.
The train robbing scene from Assassination of Jesse James.
Oh no, that's good.
Is just so, it's pretty short. It's short. I rewatched. I put on the Blu-ray just to rewatch that.
I noticed it's sitting right by your TV.
Yeah. It's pretty short, but it's very effective. And the cinematography is just, I mean, the guy got nominated. The cinematography, might have even won, is just incredible. And the build up and...
Who did the cinematography? I'll look it up while you're talking.
I
think it might be...
This is kind of this build, and it's one of the best Jesse James moments. I mean, obviously he was like a train robber, so it should be good, but he like leans down and listens to the track as it's coming, and he's like right on time.
Yeah.
And then he, there's the shot of him standing there with all the smoke from the train as it stops.
It is. It's Roger Deakins. He's like
nice.
the guy. I thought it was him, but I didn't want to sound like an idiot.
And then it is just kind of like awkward and tense when they get onto the train. It feels very realistic, and the
does.
sounds of the guns sound really realistic. They're all like kind of like muffled, and they're not like crazy loud, it seems like.
And it doesn't go real smooth, which is
No,
like,
they don't get any money.
Yeah.
And it's he like punches the one dude who's the train guy, and he doesn't
like
do
pistol
anything.
whips
And
him or
he pistol
something.
whips him multiple times, and the guy's just not doing what he wants. It's just it's a great scene.
it kind of flips the whole, like we were talking about, the Jesse James mythology mystique
Yeah,
on its head, because
true.
like this isn't going well.
Yeah. Well, and I also think he got some poor info, and he gets pissed at somebody after that.
Yeah.
I've got The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
The last one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
Classic.
really good. Really good build too within the scene. I got the last Butch Cassidy one
Oh, good.
because
Thought about it.
yeah, I mean it's just kind of one of the more important parts of the movie.
LaFour's out there? No. Oh, I thought we were really in trouble there for a second.
Man,
Really good.
bummer.
Yeah.
Sad ending to a pretty
I
upbeat movie.
Yeah, I watched that with the kids because, again, I was looking for things that were appropriate for westerns. When I
Yeah,
was
that's a good one.
thinking
Probably
about
that
movies
age.
to revisit or watch for the first time, and I didn't really remember that there would be any. I hadn't seen it in probably 10 years, but I didn't remember that there were any super inappropriate parts, and there weren't. There were a couple violent parts, but not many.
Yeah,
And they loved it. It was great.
nice. Oh yeah, and then my 2 and 1 are the same. My 2 is Open Range. My 1 is Unforgiven.
Good.
Got to be because it was the top 2.
Oh man, yeah, that's good stuff.
Oh no, sorry, I didn't do my number. I skipped one.
What'd you skip?
Butch Cassidy was 3, Open Range 2, Unforgiven 1. My number 4 is I don't know if you remember another train scene, shootout in Once Upon a Time in the West, where it's
No, I don't
pretty
remember.
like ridiculous, honestly, but it somehow works. But he's like, it's a pretty close range fight in one car that's like a office car, it's like a big fancy one.
Yeah.
It's Henry Fonda's characters.
Yeah.
And there's a bathroom, and there's like a pull down, like a ribbon pull down flusher.
Yeah.
And he uses it to like swing out of the train car, like up through a hole in the roof that you can get out of, or like somebody swings in with it and they're like shooting through the window at each other at like close range, and it's just like, this is kind of crazy, but it's like almost goofy, but it works. And it's I don't know, something about the close range part of it is very like a little bit tense and
Yeah, and different.
different. Yeah, it's super different.
Even
It's
though,
good.
like, well, I mean, I think, I don't know this for a fact, but when you read about like Western shootouts, most of them were close range,
Right.
like actual Western shootouts, and
Yeah.
like not glamorous. People
Right.
were getting shot in the back and like,
Definitely.
close range stuff. But now that I say that, another one from Jesse James is when Jeremy Renner confronts, I don't know, somebody up in the upstairs bedroom of one of those houses, and they're like shoot each other like. They shoot at each other like 4 or 5 times
Yeah.
and only hit each other like twice.
Right.
And that one seemed like a more realistic one.
Yeah.
I didn't put that on my list.
Yeah.
But
Also, when Jesse James gets assassinated, it's pretty.
oof,
It's pretty.
brutal.
Yeah, you're waiting for it.
What's your
a good one.
thoughts on that movie? Or I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't bring it up right now.
It's not on my list.
It's not on mine either. All right, let's talk about it now.
It's probably on my. It might be on my top 10.
I feel like it's a movie that if I've seen it twice, if I watched it again, maybe I'd really get it. I like it. There's a couple parts about it I don't like. I love how it looks.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt's great.
Yeah.
What's his face is really great. Casey Affleck.
Yeah.
It's really long,
It is.
and I don't like. Speaking of what we were talking about earlier, I don't like the little breakups of voiceover that come in. I don't know if you remember this. I didn't
don't
remember.
even remember voiceover.
Yeah, I didn't remember it. The from
Casey Affleck.
no, it's like some other person. It's like a voice of God sort of a
Oh.
thing, and the
What?
yeah, it's weird. And the picture gets all blurry, and he kind of just tells you a little bit of story about what Jesse James is doing next. And I just like, this takes me out of it. I don't like it. And it happens like a bunch of times in the movie, just little quick snippets. But it's just like, you're ruining my vibe here, you know? And I don't know. I'm going to watch it again knowing that's in there. But yeah.
I feel like I liked it more the second time.
I feel like I'll like it more the third time.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen it since it come out, and then I didn't watch it for this week's episode, but I watched it a couple years ago. I threw it in. It was
First
like,
time you're like, when's anything gonna really happen? I mean,
Yeah.
stuff happens throughout it, but it's just like kind of dark and slow.
It's dark and slow. It's a character drama.
Yeah,
It's kind of like I've used this word in the past for other movies, but it's like a really cerebral experience.
Right.
And then like the actual assassination happens like 2/3 of the way through the movie, maybe like 75% of the way through the movie, but like there's a lot of movie left after that. And it's just like, man, I don't, this wasn't what I was expecting in the theaters, which is fine.
Yeah.
But there's certain things about it that I really don't like, but the highs are very high. It's really well acted. I think I'm wrong. Is my point.
I
and
got
I
you.
want to watch it again.
Yeah.
But it didn't make any of my lists, so I felt like acknowledging it. That's my speech.
Same. That's why I put it in that scene.
There you go.
Shootout scene.
It's a
not
good
really
scene.
A shootout scene.
All right. Should we move on to the big dog?
Yeah.
Top 5 westerns. I got a lot of honorable mentions here. I don't know. I don't think our list will be the same. What did I just say?
I don't know.
Will be that similar. I know I like a lot of classic westerns more than you.
Do you plan on doing honorable mentions first?
No.
Oh, okay. Cool. Good.
But I'm wondering, should we go one at a time, because I have a feeling they might be the same. I don't know. What do you want to do?
You think our top 5 is going to be the same?
I don't think so. But
I don't think so
you've
either.
said a couple things that might make me think that. All right, you go first then.
Well, should I say them without going into them too much? Or I don't really need to go into them too much.
We can go into it as much as you want.
All right.
If we have any repeats, let's just talk about it then, and we don't both have to wax poetic on why this movie's awesome.
Okay.
All right, what's
Maybe maybe we are gonna have some. All right.
I don't know.
Okay, so coming in at number 5, I've got Django Unchained.
Okay.
Maybe a controversial take. I know it wouldn't be on a lot of people's top 10. It was one of my favorite movie viewing experiences in theaters. And I think a big part of it, and I don't know if I'm just making this up, but I feel like the movie was, like the press for the movie and the trailers and things didn't really point to the Western part of it too much.
Interesting. I don't remember that.
I just feel like I remember it being way more like plantation based, and it's going to be about him going around to different plantations and, killing people.
Plantation
and,
owners.
yeah, exactly.
Sign me up.
Kind of in that world more. And I remember being in the theater and it getting going. And the first time he goes into the little town, I'm like, oh, we're watching a Western right now.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, that's
and
interesting.
It's really just like the first half of the movie is very Western.
Very Western.
And then the second half of the movie is very not Western, even though it ends with a big shootout.
Yeah,
so it kind of is.
Still is though, even though it's not, but it is.
Right. But man, that first half when they're going, when they're killing everybody, essentially, when he first starts getting going on.
Oh yeah, like when they're doing the bounties and everything.
Doing the bounties, and they're riding across the Tetons.
Yeah, beautiful.
It's super beautiful. They're playing all the music. I'm like,
fuck yeah.
I love that movie.
Yeah,
I know there's a lot of controversy behind it. Or there's not a lot of controversy behind it.
I would say it's just like parts of it are like really hard to rewatch for me.
Right. Well, and he does his whole glorifying violence, but he does it with slavery. So, it's maybe not the most appropriate way to depict that story, but it's Quentin Tarantino. He's just going to do his thing, and that's the story he's telling right now. So,
I really have. This is just my own thing, I think. But I'm sure a lot of people agree. I really have trouble watching the two guys fight each other.
Yeah,
oh my god, that's
horrible.
So like the first part of the movie I love. It's fun. Like you said, it's a fun Western. We're killing bad guys, it's great. And then everything after that, it's still really good. I love the movie.
Well, yeah, but then you got Leo and doing one of his best performances of all time.
Jackson's like the most despicable character.
Incredible.
I actually saw. I don't know. This is probably out there for a while, but I only saw it recently. Where he apparently the script and what they filmed, he did like 20 more incredibly terrible things that were worse than what his character did in the movie. I'm talking about Samuel L. Jackson, and he wants to release that cut of the movie because he's like,
And they filmed it all?
I so far as I know, yes. And so like they barely scratched the surface on the despicableness of his character. And I was like,
Damn, he's
'Cause
pretty
he's pretty
despicable
rough.
in that movie.
yeah. So and he's out there being like, I want to see that cut.
Yeah.
So
That's tight.
great movie.
Love. Coming in at number 4. Dead Man.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna have it
No,
on my list.
our lists are different so far.
Yeah, Dead Man was a big that was a big Jack movie.
I remember.
I saw it in high school. Oh, I've always, like I've said, always loved weird indie movies that, you know, go outside of the box of telling the story, and this is very much that. But man, it is funny. It is filled with all of the best, you know, that guy people. I mean, in
What's
the
his
first
face? Isn't it Gabriel Burns?
everybody is in that movie. In the first, literally the first 10 minutes, you have a one-off, like one scene only showing up. How do I say that? You
Entrance?
have what?
Entrance? Character entrance?
Yeah, but the only time they're in the movie also.
Oh.
Crispin Glover,
Oh.
Gabriel Byrne.
I thought he had
Well-
a bigger part in that movie.
Who?
Gabriel Byrne. No?
No, he gets shot and he gets
Oh,
killed.
that's right. Yeah, no, you're right.
And they actually do have kind of a bigger part, but John Hurt then shows up and fucking McCutcheon.
Andrew McCutcheon? Baseball player for the Pirates? I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
I didn't tell you, but I was watching it before you came over.
Oh, nice.
I was laughing, man.
I think it's on the Criterion Channel.
It's on Max.
Oh, maybe that's where I saw it. Didn't
Robert
Neil,
McCutcheon,
Oh.
who's a famous Western dude.
Yeah. Didn't Neil Young do the music for that
Neil
movie?
Young did the music, and it's just him playing a guitar, kind of sloppy throughout the whole thing.
I got to rewatch that.
Super well written, and yeah. Then you got the Billy Bob Thornton with Jared Harris and Iggy Pop. They have a one-off scene together.
I don't remember.
That's actually kind of a good shootout scene too. I was kind of thinking about putting
Sick.
it on the list. Love Dead Man. And you got Nobody, who's you know, good Native American character, who's an actual Native American actor.
Yeah.
And,
What a novel
has
concept.
a pretty crazy like backstory in the movie. It's like his mom was in one tribe and his dad was in another tribe, and then European people came and swooped him up, and he was raised by European. Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah. Thank you.
I got to revisit.
I was like, is it crazy if I put this on the list? But
No.
but
It's your list.
Yeah, and it's very me. Jim Jarmusch. Sorry, I didn't even shout out Jim Jarmusch. It's probably his best film. All right, so number 3, I've got Rio Bravo. I love everybody in the movie.
Really good.
Really good characters. It's relatively lighthearted. I guess it's pretty.
Yeah, I mean,
lighthearted.
it's funny.
It's funny. There's no like overtly super racist things that happen in it.
Thank goodness.
You got Carlos, who's honestly, there's obviously some stereotypical, you know, Mexican sort of things in there, but honestly, he's a really good developed character. It's a great performance. And plays a good role, and he's super funny.
It's not too misogynistic, which is another one.
Right, there's not, and yeah,
That
John. I feel like I
character-
like John Wayne more than any other John Wayne character in it.
I do
He's
too.
like not a dick at
Yeah.
all. He's like really good, and the female character, the leads,
She's
are super
good.
strong. She's great.
Although she's like 21, 2, and like beautiful, and yet somehow John Wayne is like, "What's up, baby?"
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so-
that happens
that's
in-
always weird. But
that
hey,
happens in High Noon too.
what are you gonna? It's gonna happen.
Yeah. It's just, I feel like it is, for me, it's the number one 50s era Western.
I would agree.
Number 2, I've got Butch Cassidy.
Nice.
Yeah. Fun. Again, pretty lighthearted. Different.
Yeah.
It's like a buddy film. Amazing performances, really good acting. Really good writing.
Written by William Goldman. and he won the Oscar.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, that's definitely just like their banter is great. The way it all unfolds is great.
Fantastic.
Pretty tragic ending, but not really tragic. I mean, they go out the way that, they've always known that they're going to go out.
I love that scene where they capture, I guess it's their friend, or they don't capture him, but he ties himself up, but it's their friend that's like a sheriff, and he's like, if anybody saw you in here, you're going to have to tie me up now, Yeah. And he says, you're trying to, I get it, you're scared, you're going to die bloody. It's it. It's over. Whatever happens. And it's like, oh my God, it's a great scene.
Yeah.
And it's also, it does something that, I mean, I'm sure we've talked about. I don't know if we've talked about expressly on this podcast, but it's basically just getting two great movie stars that have great chemistry. Obviously, the writing is fantastic. Even if it wasn't, I think it would still be a fun, watchable movie.
Yeah.
But it's just when you get those two delivering
those two in there, man.
Great dialogue.
Iconic, obviously.
It's just
iconic. It's super iconic.
Yeah.
And I mean, some people don't consider it a Western because it's like too buddy filming, but it's ridiculous.
Absolutely
it's
a Western. It's just a different Western.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have a lot of the tropes that I mean, it does, but it kind of so I showed that to the kids, and I forget the guy's name, but there's the guy who won't open the door, and he's like, I work for the WH whatever. I don't know the train magnate's name is, but he's like, I won't open this door. They finally get it open, they blow it up, and then the second time they want to blow up the safe, and the whole thing just explodes. They all fly back, and my kids were like dying laughing at that. It's so great. And then it turns into a really great chase movie. For like the middle third of the movie is just a great chase movie. It's so sick.
That's like the movie to me. Or I think of it as like a chase movie.
Yeah.
And the whole scene in the canyon with like the river.
Can't just swim.
Yeah. Can't swim. Yeah.
It's really great. Who are those guys? Yeah. It's just great.
Yeah.
I love it.
Like subtle suspense and like,
but also
the man in the white
wisecracks when you're,
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah. I love the idea of like people far away in olden times and other people not being able to. This is kind of random, but I think about the beginning of Lawrence of Arabia, where it's just like,
yes,
5 minutes. I don't know how long it is. It's literally just a dude from super far away, just slowly walking
to the well,
towards him, and to the well. Nobody around. It's a very Western scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like, I don't know, people couldn't see shit back then, or people, and it took a while for people to get places, and
and I love, to your point, I love seeing little tiny dot figures in an extreme wide shot on a big landscape, and they do that.
And there's
really
a lot, and that's another trope.
Yeah,
great
stuff. What's your number one?
Unforgiven.
Yeah.
I mean, it's top 10 regular films for me all the time. It's got to be.
Don't blow the podcast, dude.
Well, no.
No, yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah,
it's just great. We've already talked about it. What can we say? All right, I'm jumping in with my top 5 Westerns. Are you ready?
Yeah.
My number 5 is the remake of True Grit by the Coen brothers.
Yeah.
I really love that movie.
I really like it too.
I wasn't going to put it on the list.
I was surprised by how few people had it like anywhere on like big lists.
I don't think
and the
people
other one
like it as much, which whatever.
It doesn't make any sense. It's Coen brothers.
It's just fantastic.
Yeah.
I love every second of it. I threw
really
it on
too.
At the end of a night when Becky fell asleep on the couch, and I was just like, I'm just going to make sure that I'm not wrong about this.
Right.
And I was like, you know what? It's making the list.
I knew it wouldn't be making my top 5 because I had other, Jack top 5 things I needed to throw in there. So I didn't rewatch it, but I was like, it's got to be my top 10.
It's great. And it's great dialogue. It's
so good.
And it's really, if I've seen the original, I haven't seen it in a long time. I don't remember if I've seen it. I might have, but if I have, Robert Duvall is the bad guy in the Barry Pepper guy in the first one. Anyway, little note there.
Huh.
But I can't speak for that one, but this one is so true to the book. I've read the book, and it's really good. It's really fun, short read. And it's like when you're reading it, you're like, no, this is just the movie.
Yeah.
It's like so true to the book. Number 4. So we started off different.
Things came around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're starting to land home now. Butch Cassidy is my number 4.
No, okay.
I'm just going to move right past what we've already talked to. Number 3 is Rio Bravo.
Wow.
Yeah. So
we both got it at number 3.
Yeah. We might have spoke a little too early. Here's where things are going to get a little bit different.
That's cool. You like Rio Bravo as much as me. That's not one
I love Rio Bravo.
That's not one that
I don't even know if we've ever talked about it.
No, I literally don't think we've ever talked about it. We didn't grow up with it together.
No.
I actually think I did see it for the first time with our dad on TV. And was just like, wow, this is really good.
El Dorado is really good too. And that's another one by Howard Hawks, where there's like a drunk sidekick, and it's like very similar, but the Rio Bravo's better. It's really good.
Yeah.
And because it has all the stuff we talked about. It has Stumpy, who's funny. It's a really concise story set in this one town. Usually I like people riding all over creation into the wilderness.
But the movement through this town is great, which is why I put it in the locations, is because it's just like they thought of everything.
Yeah.
And
great shootout at the end.
Right.
Yeah. I love it.
Pays off. There's that suspense and build of looming, like something's coming into town.
Something's happening, and then it happens, and it's great.
Right.
So, we got a lot of overlap here, which I didn't expect, but I also was a little worried about. That's okay. We're going to talk about a lot of
And
those.
I watched a lot of movies, and I just was like,
these are the best.
I don't like this one that much, and things like that.
Yeah. Well, so here's where it's going to get a little different, and that's because I cheated a little bit.
Oh my God.
That's right. My number 2 is Unforgiven.
Whoa.
I know. You know that this is one of my favorite movies of all time. And I will explain why it's number 2 in a second. It is absolutely fun, or absolutely fantastic, and it's in my opinion, like the best Westerns can do.
Apparently not.
Well, here's where I cheated. I looked up on Letterboxd, Jack. I can rate Lonesome Dove on Letterboxd. So my number 1 is Lonesome Dove. It's technically a miniseries. Or a limited series. It's not technically a movie. I don't care. It's my list. It's my favorite book of all time. It's my favorite story of all time. So I'm putting it as my number 1, and that's right.
When we talked about Lonesome Dove earlier and we didn't talk about it that much, I was like, this is weird. At the time, I was like, oh, wow, I can't believe he hasn't said Lonesome Dove once yet. Now we're kind of talking about it, and then we stopped talking about it.
Yeah.
I didn't think about this really, but I did think like last week or something, I was just like, I wonder if he's going to pull some Lonesome Dove shit.
I am pulling some Lonesome Dove shit,
I respect
Jack.
that.
It's fucking great.
For the good of the pod.
I knew you weren't going to have this on here, so I wanted to talk about it because I am cheating a little bit, and I don't care. It's my list.
That's a little bit cheating.
I don't care. Whatever. Sue
How many
me.
episodes is it?
4. And they're all 2 hours long. And so you can say that they're all 2 hour long movies. And I don't care. And each of them would be my favorite. I love it. So if you haven't seen Lonesome Dove or read Lonesome Dove, first of all, shame on you and go do that. Second of all, it's about these 2 retired Texas Rangers that get an idea that they have to ride north with a cattle train and move and get them up to Montana and be the first to settle in Montana with a cattle company.
It's the best cattle riding.
Yeah.
I
that
guess
sounds
it's not a movie.
cliche, and I guess it is in some ways.
Number 2 is City Slickers.
I love City Slickers.
Me too.
Yeah, that's
oh,
great.
wow. How have we not brought up City Slickers? That's
well, I
definitely
have it on my just miss list.
Right.
So Lonesome Dove is just a big, epic story.
Yeah,
and it has everything you want. It has action. It has romance.
Stars.
It's got stars. Yeah, it's great stars. It has a little bit of horror and terror.
Yeah.
It has some great comedy.
Super tragic at times, or super
definitely
tragic. Hits at the heartstrings.
Yeah, big time nostalgia. For my money, it has the best conglomeration of written characters that you could possibly ask for. I just think the characters are all fleshed out so well. Again, I'm a big fan of the book where they flesh out these characters a little bit more, but even in the miniseries, it's just wonderful. You get some of the best dialogue. It's just fantastic. It literally has like 4 of my top 37 fiction characters of all time.
When was the book written?
1986, maybe 5. It won the Pulitzer in 1986, I think. And then I think the miniseries came out in 1988. So pretty quick afterwards. And it's just wonderful. Tommy Lee Jones plays the Captain Woodrow Call. Robert Duvall plays Augustus McCrae, who is my favorite fictional character of all time. Danny Glover is Dietz. Chris Cooper is July Johnson. Diane Lane is Lorena Wood. Angelica Houston is Clara Allen.
Man.
I mean, the cast goes on and on. I'm sure I'm forgetting some big heavy hitters, but it's just wonderful. It just anybody that thinks Westerns are boring and I don't like them, I challenge you to read or watch this. Maybe not watch because the miniseries is a little bit dated. I challenge you to read the book. Well, it's not in the more intimate moments, but like there are some special effects that don't necessarily hold up. But it's just an amazing feat of what they could do at that time. Just wonderful. It's great.
Yeah.
Great all the way around. It's my favorite.
Yeah.
So I have to break the rules and put Lonesome Dove first.
Yeah, that makes sense. For those who don't know, this makes total sense. I mean, it is his favorite thing ever. So I don't know why I expected it to be anything else. I mean, you know.
I have a Lonesome Dove shirt of the Hat Creek Cattle Company sign.
Yeah, that's a cool shirt.
Which I don't even know if anybody knows what that means. But read the book.
Nope.
It's great. All right, honorable mentions. I got a lot. It's a rich text, Jack. Do you want to go through a few first, or should I just run through them?
I'm probably just going to back you because...
I think the big one we didn't mention in either of our lists is The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. That is widely considered one of the best movies of all time. It's not my favorite. I don't dislike it.
Do you have a top 10?
Top 10?
Like, have you written a top 10 Westerns?
Oh, no. But, I mean, that would probably make the top 10. Also, McCabe and Mrs. Miller was my most difficult cut. That would make my top 10.
What do you mean it was your most difficult cut?
Well, I waffled between that and True Grit a lot.
That makes sense.
But
McCabe
then
and Mrs. Miller is good.
And it's different.
It's weird.
It is. But I came down to I rewatched True Grit and I was like, nah, this is it. I would rather rewatch this than
for
Mrs.
sure.
Miller.
It's definitely rewatch. I love the beginning, and
I do too.
I love how they do a great job of just like no exposition, no like over exposition.
Yeah,
they don't really explain very much, and you're just like. I was like 15 minutes in, and I was like, oh, I guess he's just coming into town and just starting things up. That's kind of what I thought initially, but you couldn't really tell. It's great.
Yeah, and there's some great like, just shots of the scenery. It's just really beautiful. Yeah. So, The Big Country with Gregory Peck. I have that. I watched
that was going on your top 5.
I watched it for the first time for this podcast, and I loved it. Really, really good, but didn't make the list.
Nope.
Rango. I thought about it, Jack.
Yeah.
I thought about it. I ultimately couldn't get there, but it's really good. I don't know if it would be on the Westerns or the Westerns that aren't really Westerns list.
Right. It's a little... I mean, it is a Western, and then it becomes kind of not a Western.
It's like Chinatown.
It's like Chinatown.
If it was a Western with computer animated animals for kids.
Right.
It's great.
Yeah.
I loved it. Dances with Wolves, I mentioned. Red River's really good.
Red River is good.
High Noon is great. We mentioned that. That's a fun one. It's a real taut one, real tight. Not a lot of fluff.
High Noon, I think it was Rio Bravo. There's one movie that was made in like direct against High Noon.
Yeah, it was Rio Bravo.
Rio Bravo was made like as the antithesis to High Noon.
Yeah, because High Noon. Well, I don't know. I didn't. I know what you're talking about. I don't know if we'll be able to accurately explain it.
Right. There was people thought it was un-American.
Well, nobody helps them out. Everybody's afraid. Everybody's just worried about their own self.
Right.
And apparently, it was written by a guy that got busted for communism.
Right. And Howard Hawks was big into getting that dude out of the country. He did get extradited.
Oh, okay. There you go. And then he and John Wayne got together and were like, we're going to do like a similar thing, but the more American version.
Right.
Quote unquote.
Which is funny because, well, I guess it is essentially the same plot.
It's a similar plot.
Everybody helps him. which is the best part of Rio Bravo is that he's got hella friends.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. But High Noon is still fantastic.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And then I have Once Upon a Time in the West. There are others.
Yeah,
Once Upon are the ones that were closest.
Would probably
to me.
be my number 6, maybe.
Yeah. Any others you want to throw out there?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I would put probably The Searchers on some longer list.
Yeah.
Because it is pretty good.
I also like some newer ones too. I saw The Sisters Brothers recently. It was really good, little small one. Directed by Jacques Audiard, who did, what do you call it? Amelia Perez. Huh. Didn't know that. That's very random. Different movie. Yeah. But it has Joaquin Phoenix and, what's that guy's name? John C. Reilly. I read that book too. Really just fun little weird character drama set in the West. Some good shootouts. Good looking movie. I saw this would not make the list for the record. But I saw the new Kevin Costner movie, Horizon: Zero Dawn Part 1. And
heard it wasn't that good.
I mean, it wasn't great. He knows how to shoot a gunfight. So that part was cool. It was like, it was really long. I wish I didn't know this ahead of time when I watched it to see if I would have come up with this on my own. But I had heard a lot of people talk about it in that it is like it's set up like a TV show. And they have like 7 storylines going on and they don't pay any of them off in any sort of cut and dry way.
Yeah.
So you're literally just waiting for the next episode. And it's that part was frustrating. I don't know that I would have come up with that on my own, but I knew that going in and it felt that way.
It looks a lot like 1883. I mean, just in certain little things that I've seen. I mean, it's essentially around the same time and it's...
Doesn't surprise me.
Right.
Yeah. It's about everybody. It's about a whole bunch of people in different areas and ways trying to get to this town called Horizon that's like supposedly this like embodiment of what could be in the American West. And, it didn't totally work for me. And I will watch the second one if it ever gets released. But it was a little bit disappointing. And everybody spoke in the same sort of monotone, generic Western fashion. And we're talking about a lot of the themes that we already mentioned in the episode, like the closing up of the West, like outlaws and man versus the wilderness and all that stuff, except it was delivered all in the same way. Like, people don't actually talk like this. And all your characters sound like they're written from the same person.
Yeah, I hate that.
It's like, you got to sort of...
People talk differently.
Yeah.
And that sounds like kind of the point of the movie is that...
a lot of different characters from a lot of
exactly.
different backgrounds, but it didn't feel that way in the dialogue. And there were a lot... Like, there was this one scene where Sienna Miller's in it and her daughter are in a tent. And a scorpion falls out of the boot that they were about to put on. And they're like, whoa. A scorpion. Oh my God. Stand back. And it's like, okay, I get it. Scorpions are bad, but it's not like jumping at you, it's like an inch long. Just like step around it.
In the West.
Yeah. If these things happen and then they kill the scorpion and it's like this big dramatic thing. And then that never gets brought up again. And I'm just like, what? This is a 3.5 hour long movie. We could cut the scorpion bit, there's a lot of stuff like that where it's like, this can get cut, Kevin. So a lot there were some things that worked, a lot of it didn't work. I will still watch the second one if it comes out.
What about Jeremiah Johnson?
Wow.
I know.
Good one. I didn't even think about that.
I think that would make my top 10. That's a good movie.
I haven't seen it in years.
I saw it for the first time relatively recently and
that would be a good one to get on Blu-ray.
I was like, that's not surprising that I like this movie.
Yeah. That's a good one.
This was another one I was going to leave off or put in my omissions, but at the same time, I just didn't think it would ever really show up on a lot of things. But what about The Revenant?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you like The Revenant.
I don't like The Revenant as much as you like The Revenant. You know
I'm
what?
starting to question whether I like The Revenant. I mean,
no.
I mean, not really. It's just like,
Well, for those who don't know, we're literally doing 2 podcasts today, one of which is a Leonardo DiCaprio podcast. Let's save it for that.
We'll save it for that.
Yeah. But I do want to talk about it but we'll save it for that one.
Sounds good.
All right, a lot of good westerns. There's so many that we didn't mention, but we can't mention them all.
We'll probably do
have
westerns again at some point. Maybe.
I know I was thinking that this is such a deep text that we could literally do this podcast again with different top fives and be fine.
Yeah.
So we'll probably revisit it later. Think of some fun way to redo it. I mean, we didn't even mention a bunch of like Clint Eastwood westerns, like Josie Wales and Pale Rider and Joe Kidd. There's a bunch of them. So I'm sure there are other ones that I'm thinking that came out recently too.
I know that's the thing I'm getting tripped up on is
You see that movie Horizon? I'm not Horizon. Hostiles.
I don't know.
It's a good one. It's a very serious one.
You see that Tommy Lee Jones one?
Which one? He had two.
Daughter, the dark one with Cate Blanchett, where his daughter.
I have seen that.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
That was a good one. He also had one with Hilary Swank that I have not seen. I forget what it's called, but I haven't seen that one. Didn't see the new, or at least not all of it, the new Magnificent Seven remake, which I heard was bad, but then other people on podcasts I've heard was like, no, actually it's sick, and I was like, well, maybe I should watch it. Didn't see that one. Yeah, there's just a bunch of them.
There was that Netflix one that came out last year that was like an all black cast.
Oh, I saw some of that. It was good.
Yeah. I kind of forgot about it. It came up in my stuff and I was like, oh, damn, it's on Netflix too.
I feel like I fell asleep, but, well, so maybe it wasn't that good. But but I like turned it on late at night. I never finished it. Bad job by me. All right.
That's me with Ringo. Like twice, literally.
You haven't seen it?
I don't know if I've seen it all the way through.
Oh, man, it's
because
sick.
I think I've fallen asleep both times. I wasn't going to say that earlier. But I get it.
We, Becky and so I've been renting movies from the library. I think we talked about this. Mm-hmm. They're stocked up. I'm in, so I don't have to keep renting them from the internet, but because the library just has it. Do you think it has it? It does. I'm stoked.
Crazy.
So I've been wanting to watch this movie called Le Cercle Rouge, which is like a French crime drama, again, because I heard it was good and has nothing to do with this podcast, except I rented it because I saw they had it. And I turned it on the other night. She fell asleep 20 minutes in. And I was like, all right, great. So then I was like, do you want to keep watching this or can I finish it? Like, no, I want to watch it. I was like, okay, we'll watch it. Then last night I had to watch a Leo movie for our pod today. So we turned that on. We'll get to it in a minute. And then at the end, she's like, let's do a palate cleanser and turn on Cercle Rouge again. I was like, are you sure, man? It's getting pretty late. She's like, no. 10 more minutes. And then she fell asleep. I was like, no! So I've seen
that a palate cleanser also?
Huh?
How's that a palate cleanser?
The French crime drama?
Yeah.
Well, again, we'll get to it in the Leo pod.
Cozy up and watch my French.
It's sick. I was into it.
Yeah.
But anyway. All right, let's finish up this Westerns episode. I don't even know how long we've been going. Okay, 2 hours. That's okay. That's fine. Maybe we'll split it up into 2 podcasts. Maybe we won't. I have a top 5, a surprise top 5 right before we finish. You don't know about it.
Okay, because I thought we had another top 5 that we didn't discuss.
What did we not discuss?
Names?
Oh, I didn't do any.
Okay, well,
Do you have one?
Yeah.
All right, give me your quick top 5 names.
I'll just say it really fast. John T. Chance. That's
Great.
Rio Bravo.
Love it.
William Money.
Of course.
Butch Cassidy.
It's great. That's actually a real name.
Woodrow F. Call and Augustus McCrae.
Yes. Well done.
Rooster Coburn.
Ooh, good one. Yeah, great.
Yep.
Fantastic. I guess I can probably think of them up on the fly, but we got to wrap this up. I have top 5 female characters in Westerns. I know. I have a list here.
I didn't think of that beforehand.
Well, no, I did this. I didn't rank them yet. Figured we could do it on the fly because I have a list of, a long list that we can go through. I'm going to read them to you quickly.
Okay.
Maddie Ross, which is Haley Steinfeld from True Grit.
We didn't even mention her.
I know. Bad job by us.
Yeah,
well,
she's might be the best part of that movie.
And spoiler alert, I'm not making a top 5 list without her on it. So she's making it.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I got Lorena Wood and Clara Allen from Lonesome Dove.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I have Broomhilda from Django. Django. I have Etta Place with this Catherine Ross's character in Butch Cassidy, the girlfriend. She's good. I got Mrs. Miller, played by Julie Christie and McKay. Right. Mrs. Miller. Ellen, which is Sharon Stone's character in The Quick and the Dead, pretty sick.
Which is that it's about a female gunslinger.
Yeah.
You know?
And I mean, I don't love the movie, but it's not because of her.
I
don't love the movie because it's really stylized. And
I don't really remember. It was like a TV movie growing up. So
yeah, I mean, it's fun, but it's just like really like not an actual story that would ever happen and is very stylized. But she's great in it. So I actually haven't seen this one, but I did a little research and she made every single list. So I'm going to say Vienna, played by Joan Crawford in Johnny Guitar. Bad job by me. Haven't seen it. I'll watch it when we do Westerns part 2 or 3.
yeah, somebody had Johnny Guitar as their number one Western of all time.
Yeah, well, probably because of Joan Crawford. Strawberry Alice, which is Frances Fisher in Unforgiven. Helen Ramirez and Amy Kate, which are played by Kate Gerardo and Grace Kelly, respectively, in High Noon. Rosalie Quaid, played by Rosamund Pike in Hostiles. And then anyone from Deadwood. They're all great characters.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Deadwood
I
either.
know. I feel bad about it. This is a long episode already.
Yeah.
It's a rich text, Jack, like we've said. So Calamity Jane, played by Robin, I guess her name is Weigartz.
Oh, yeah, she's good.
Trixie, played by Paula Malcolmson, and Alma Garrett, played by Molly Parker. They're all good.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we could just say the women from Deadwood. I would vote Trixie of that group.
Yes, I would too.
So let's do Maddie Ross.
Yes. Mrs. Miller.
Mrs. Miller, of course. Trixie.
Strawberry Alice?
Possibly. I will not leave her without putting Clara Allen from Lonesome Dove on there.
Okay, yeah.
Because she is one of my favorite characters of all time.
Yeah.
So that's 5 right there. I'm okay
what are
with
big ones that we missed.
We missed Broomhilda. I'm okay with that. Although she's pretty good. We missed Butch Cassidy. I'm okay with that. I haven't seen Johnny Guitar, so I don't feel right about it. I just wanted to mention it.
Yeah.
I'm okay with getting out of High Noon.
Me
All right,
too.
yeah, let's do that. Strawberry Alice, Maddie Ross, Clara Allen, everybody from Deadwood.
No, that wasn't one we counted.
Oh, Trixie from Deadwood, and Mrs. Miller.
I like it.
Not ranked.
Not ranked.
All right, this got to be a long podcast.
Yeah, thanks for sticking with us.
Yeah, Westerns, man. It's been fun talking about it.
Yeah.
Anything you want to hit on the way out?
No, we kind of covered everything.
I guess we've kind of already teased it, but the next episode we're recording is a Leonardo DiCaprio episode.
And we're doing that in like an hour.
Yeah, I don't know if that will be the next episode released after Westerns, but it's possible. So it's coming up soon, if not directly after this week's episode. Anyway, thanks for joining. Let us know. This is people have big opinions on Westerns,
right.
So let us know what you think. Let us know what we got wrong, and we'll
circle back.
We'll circle back, and also we don't care because this is our
right.
list.
Go watch Rio Bravo and Deadman.
If we ever decide to do another Westerns list, maybe give us a couple ideas of top 5 categories beyond just top 5.
Yeah,
Westerns.
I'm surprised we didn't do like characters or supporting characters. We talked about doing supporting characters.
We did. So
That would be a good one.
let us know what
Stumpy.
things you would like to see in a future episode. All right, thanks so much. This has been the top 5s. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.